Chosen one, stop scrolling and listen. This is not an accident. The world may see a random moment, but heaven see destiny unfolding. Long before your first cry, long before the calendar marked your birth, your name was already spoken in heaven's hidden counsel. In the silence of eternity, God whispered you into existence. There is a reason you have always felt different. You sense the weight of something unseen, while others walk without question. You feel a pull, a calling. That pull is proof that you were never designed to blend in. You were designed to stand out, to carry light into dark places. Picture it now, a great council above the stars. Angels stand ready, their wings covering their faces before the throne. The Ancient of Days sits in radiant glory, and in that eternal silence, a single word pierces everything: your name, spoken with authority, spoken with love, spoken with purpose. The moment heaven spoke your name, hell shuddered, for it knew a chosen one would rise to disrupt its plans. This is why life has often felt like a battle. This is why you have been misunderstood, pushed aside, even rejected. It was never random. It was protection. Being chosen means being marked. And being marked means you cannot walk the same road as everyone else. Think of Joseph, a dreamer despised by his brothers, betrayed and sold, from a pit to a prison. And yet his destiny was never stolen. Why? Because heaven had already sealed his story. You, too, walk that same path. Rejection is redirection. Delay is preparation. Darkness is the backdrop against which your light burns brightest. Let me paint you a picture. You are like a candle hidden inside a cavern. At first, the flame seems small compared to the vast shadows, yet even a single flicker pushes darkness back, and as the flame grows, the cavern cannot remain the same. That is what your life does. You shift atmospheres without realizing it. It was proclaimed in the second letter to Timothy, chapter 1. Verse 9, He has saved us and called us to a holy life, not because of what we have done, but because of His purpose and grace, given in Christ before time began. Do you feel that? You were not an afterthought. You were foreseen, preordained, sealed with divine purpose before your first breath. No rejection, no betrayal. No storm can undo what was decided in heaven's counsel. But this is where your choice matters. Heaven has whispered, but will you echo it? The promise is real, but it demands a response. Do not remain silent. Speak it out. Declare, I am chosen. Write it boldly in the comments as a sign that you agree with heaven's whisper. And as you do, share this message with someone you know carries hidden pain. You may be the very reason another chosen one discovers their true calling. Subscribe now, not for entertainment, but to remain connected to this flow of divine reminders. This is your lifeline, your confirmation, your wake-up call. Finally, let me leave you with a prophetic act. Numbers matter in God's language. Type 777 below. 7 is God's number of completion. When you write it, you declare, my hidden season is complete. I am ready for the unveiling. Chosen one. Your name has already been spoken in eternity. Now it is time for you to speak it here on earth. And do not think for a moment that heaven's whisper fades with time. No, it grows louder. The longer you live, the more that voice will pursue you. reminding you of who you are. You can run from people. You can hide from expectations. But you cannot outrun a destiny that was written before time itself. Consider the stars above you. They shine because the Creator spoke them into place. And just as He calls each star by name, He also calls you by yours. The galaxies are vast, yet He has not forgotten you. If He watches the sparrow, if He counts every hair on your head, how much more does He hold your story close to His heart? You may feel small, but you are not insignificant. Every scar on your heart is evidence of battles survived. Every valley you crossed proves you were never abandoned. Even when silence seemed deafening, heaven's counsel was still speaking your name, still releasing angels to guard your path, still arranging details you could not yet see. Chosen one. This moment is holy. It is an intersection of eternity and time. Heaven's whisper has become a shout in your spirit. This is your call to rise, to believe, to step forward without hesitation. So once more, let your faith speak. Declare it out loud. I am chosen. I am called. I am ready. Let the heavens hear it. Let the earth echo it. And let darkness retreat from it. This is not just a message. It is your unveiling. You may not remember it, but your calling was sealed long before you drew your first breath. Even in your mother's womb, the fingerprints of heaven were already shaping you. Every feature, every gift, every inclination was marked with purpose. Nothing about you was accidental. You were crafted by design, not by chance. Before you ever opened your eyes to the world, heaven had already opened its scrolls and written your name upon them. The prophets and apostles remind us that the Lord sets apart those He calls even before their lives unfold. Your very existence testifies that you are not a product of random events, but of divine orchestration. Think of a craftsman molding clay upon the wheel. At first, the shape is hidden, undefined, a simple lump of earth. But in the mind of the potter, the design is already complete. He knows where to press, where to stretch, where to refine. That is what happened with you. The potter was shaping you before you could even comprehend what life was. Even as a child, you may have felt out of place. Others played carefree, while something in you sensed a deeper weight, a responsibility that you could not explain. Perhaps you heard words spoken over you, dreams whispered about you, or even unusual resistance that made you wonder why life felt heavier on your shoulders than on others. This was not punishment, it was preparation. The writings of David in the book of Psalms, chapter 139, verses 15 and 16, capture this truth. My frame was not hidden from you when I was made in secret, woven together in the depths of the earth. Your eyes saw my unformed body. All my days were written in your book. Pause with those words for a moment. All the days ordained for you were written before one of them came to be. That means your story was finished before your first chapter even began. Your beginning is rooted in God's completion. This is why storms cannot erase you. Betrayals cannot erase you. Mistakes cannot erase you. Heaven wrote the story, and heaven does not make errors. Let me tell you of another chosen one. Before Samson ever lifted a jawbone, before his name carried the weight of a warrior, an angel visited his parents. They were told that their son would be set apart from birth, consecrated for God's purposes. Even his lifestyle was marked by instructions to preserve the calling. Though Samson struggled with weaknesses, the seal of heaven remained, and at the end, he fulfilled what was spoken over him. You, too, carry this unseen seal. It is why doors that others walk through easily may remain shut for you. It is why certain temptations cut deeper in your spirit than in others. It is why your conscience speaks louder. You are not permitted to blend in, because you were not designed for ordinary. Imagine a violin hidden in a dusty attic. To most, it looks like an old piece of wood with strings. But to a master musician, it is a Stradivarius rare, priceless, unmatched. That violin cannot be used casually, because its sound is sacred. In the same way, your life is not common. You are a vessel of rare sound, and heaven has marked you to carry a frequency that shifts atmospheres. You may question why suffering was allowed, why battles were harder for you than others. But understand this: pressure reveals design. Diamonds are formed under pressure. Olive oil flows only when the fruit is crushed. Your pain is not wasted. It is producing something eternal, something powerful, something that confirms the seal upon you. So as you reflect on your journey, do not despise the struggles of your early years, the misunderstandings, or the moments you felt overlooked. They were all part of your hidden preparation. Heaven's whisper marked you before birth, and no force on earth has the authority to unmark what God has sealed. Chosen one, walk with this awareness. You are a continuation of heaven's plan, not a random page in history. Your very life is proof that God's designs never fail, and His purposes always stand. And though you may not fully see it yet, every detail of your journey is unfolding exactly as heaven designed. You were hidden so you could be revealed at the right time. You were preserved so you could be released with power. The mark upon you is eternal, and the unveiling has only just begun. You have carried the sting of being misunderstood, the ache of rejection, the weight of silence. People walked away, not because you were unworthy, but because heaven was preserving you. If you had been embraced everywhere, your heart might have been diluted by the expectations of men. Instead, God allowed certain doors to close, not to punish you, but to protect the purity of what He placed within you. Think back on the moments when you were overlooked. Others were chosen while you were passed by. You wondered why. You cried in secret. Yet, behind that veil of disappointment, heaven's hand was shielding you. Sometimes rejection is divine, redirection. Sometimes silence is God's strategy to prevent voices from shaping your destiny too soon. The ancient words in the Gospel of John, chapter 15, verse 16, remind us, "You did not choose me, but I chose you and appointed you so that you might go and bear fruit, fruit that will last." Sent. Do you see it? You were chosen not by the applause of men, but by the decree of heaven. And because of that, what you carry is not fragile, not temporary, but éternel. The fruit that comes from your life will outlast every critic, every wound, and every rejection. There is a story of Hannah, who prayed in anguish for a child. She was mocked, misunderstood, even accused of drunkenness by the priest. But she was not drunk. She was pouring her soul before the Lord. Heaven heard her prayer, and in time, she birthed Samuel, a prophet who changed Israel's history. What looked like shame was actually the soil of breakthrough. Chosen one, your pain has been a womb. Your tears have watered the ground of your destiny. What others called weakness, heaven calls preparation. What others thought was the end, heaven declares as the beginning. Imagine a pearl. It is formed only when an oyster suffers irritation from a grain of sand. The pain becomes a process of beauty. The very thing that wounded it becomes the source of treasure. Your rejection has been your pearl-making process. Heaven has been turning your wounds into wonders. Now I ask you to do something simple yet powerful. Write in the comments, chosen and kept. Why these 3 words? Because they declare the unseen truth of your journey. You were not just chosen, you were preserved. You were kept from destruction, kept from settling for less, kept for a destiny that could not be erased. Every closed door was heaven's shield. Every delay was heaven's timing. By typing it, you align yourself with the reality that no rejection can undo the seal God has placed on your life. So let those who mocked watch. Let those who doubted observe. For your rising will be undeniable. And when it happens, they will know it was not man who preserved you. It was God. Chosen one. Never despise rejection. It is heaven's way of setting you apart. Rejection can feel like a wound that never fully heals. It leaves questions lingering in the heart. Why wasn't I enough? Why didn't they see my value? But what you must understand is this: heaven saw what they could not. God removed you from certain places because he knew the soil there would not allow your seed to grow. Think of a gardener. When he sees a young plant struggling in poor soil, he lifts it out and replants it where it can thrive. To the plant, the uprooting feels like pain, but to the gardener, it is salvation. Your rejection was God's replanting. He has been moving you into the soil of destiny, where your roots can go deep and your fruit can last. Another truth is this: being misunderstood is often the badge of the chosen. Prophets were laughed at, mocked, and dismissed. Jeremiah was thrown into a cistern. Elijah fled from threats. Paul was stoned and imprisoned. Yet history remembers their obedience, not the opinions of those who rejected them. You stand in that same lineage. To be misunderstood by men is often the clearest evidence of being understood by God. And though it hurt, those seasons have purified you. They forced you to listen to heaven's voice above the noise of man's approval. If everyone had accepted you, you might have mistaken popularity for purpose. But the silence and rejection stripped away illusions until only God's whisper remained. So, lift your head. Chosen one. Let your scars remind you not of weakness, but of survival. You are here, preserved, still breathing, still marked. Heaven has kept you, and because of that, you will walk forward stronger, wiser, and unshakable. Your rejection is not your identity, it is your testimony. And one day, you will look back and realize, being misunderstood was the very thing that made you unstoppable. You have often wondered why the weight on your shoulders feels so much heavier than what others carry. While others move lightly through life, you find yourself battling burdens that no one sees. And yet, it is precisely this weight that reveals you are chosen. The responsibility you feel, the inner battles you face, are not ordinary. They are marks of a destiny too significant to be carried lightly. The truth is, the weight you carry has been shaping you into the person you were meant to become. Every sleepless night, every private battle, every silent cry has added strength to your spirit. You may think of these burdens as punishment, but they are evidence of preparation. Heaven does not waste time preparing those who are not called. The depth of your struggle is a reflection of the height of your calling. Consider Moses. He carried the weight of his people's suffering long before he had the authority to lead them. He walked among them, saw their pain, felt their oppression. That burden broke his heart until he could no longer ignore it. And though his journey took him through deserts and doubts, the weight he carried was the very proof of his chosenness. The same is true for you. You feel deeply because you were designed to carry deeply, while others are indifferent. You are stirred. While others ignore pain, you sense the cries of the broken. That is why your heart feels heavier. It is tuned to heaven's frequency. The voice of God thunders in the book of Exodus, chapter 3, verse 7. I have indeed seen the misery of my people in Egypt. I have heard them crying out because of their slave drivers, and I am concerned about their suffering. If God himself sees, hears, and feels the suffering of his people, then how much more will those he chooses carry that same burden? The heaviness you feel is not yours alone. It is a reflection of God's heart beating within you. Picture a bridge stretched across a raging river. The bridge bears the weight of every traveler, every cart, every storm. Yet the bridge was built for this. Its strength is proven by the weight it carries. In the same way, your life has carried weight to prove the strength heaven placed inside you. Yes, the burden feels lonely. Others may not see it, may not understand why your shoulders sag under pressures they never experience. But heaven says, angels record, and one day, that same weight will transform into authority. What crushed you in private will empower you in public. Think of David. Before he ever held a crown, he carried the weight of a nation's destiny on the battlefield, alone with a slingshot. He faced a giant while others trembled. That single moment revealed what had already been forming in him during years of unseen battles with lions and bears. His private struggles had prepared him for a public victory. So it is with you. The battles you fight in silence, the burdens you shoulder when no one notices, are not wasted. They are sharpening you, shaping you, molding you into a vessel that can carry influence and glory without collapsing under the pressure. And though at times you have cried out, asking why your path seems harder than others, remember this: heaven does not place heavy armor on those who are not warriors. The fact that you carry much is proof that you were designed for much. Your pain has given birth to compassion. Your struggle has given you eyes to see what others ignore. Your scars are not signs of weakness, but of survival. They are the evidence that, though the weight was heavy, you endured. And because you endured, you are being prepared to lift others when their strength fails. Chosen one. Never despise the weight you carry. It is the mark of heaven's trust in you. What feels like a burden today will be revealed as the crown of tomorrow. The crown you will wear tomorrow is being forged in the weight you carry today. Every trial, every hidden battle, is hammering strength into your spirit like fire-shaped steel. Without the fire, the blade remains dull. Without the weight, the crown has no foundation. And remember, you were not chosen to collapse under this. You were chosen because heaven already saw you would endure. You may stumble, but you will not break. You may bend, but you will not shatter. So carry the weight with faith. In due time, what feels like heaviness will be revealed as glory, and every tear will be redeemed. From the moment you were marked as chosen, darkness has been aware of you, even when you were unaware of yourself. Unseen realms already knew the power you carried. That is why the battles have been fierce, why resistance has shadowed your steps. It was never because you were weak. It was because hell feared the light within you. Have you ever noticed how moths rush to a flame? They are drawn to the light, even though it burns them. Darkness reacts the same way. When you shine, it cannot help but fight against you. But what it does not understand is this: the more it fights, the brighter your flame grows. Hell has studied you, watched you, and trembled, because your very existence threatens its plans. Your prayers disrupt its strategies. Your presence in a room shifts the atmosphere. Your survival alone is a testimony that destroys lies. That is why the attacks came so strong. They were designed to silence what heaven placed inside you. But you endured, and because you endured, your light now stands taller. It was recorded in the book of Isaiah, chapter 54, verse 17, "No weapon forged against you will prevail, and you will refute every tongue that accuses you." And let that sink in. The weapons may form, but they cannot prosper. The accusations may rise, but they will fall powerless. The darkness may shout, but it cannot drown out the light that burns within you. Think about Daniel in the lion's den. The darkness of death surrounded him. The roar of lions echoed in his ears. Yet the light of his faith silenced their hunger. That same protection is wrapped around you. You walk with the same unshakable covering. And now, chosen one, as you hear these words, let me ask you for something, not as a demand, not as a condition, but as an invitation. If these messages are food to your soul, then consider how you might help prepare the table for others. When you like this message, it is as if you are striking a match in a dark valley. That single spark might be small, but it can ignite torches in the hands of others who have been stumbling without light. When you share this message, you are casting a stone into a still pond. The ripples move outward, touching distant shores you may never see. Someone broken, someone forgotten, someone on the edge. Your ripple might be the very wave that reaches them. When you subscribe, it is like tying a red thread around your finger, a reminder that you are connected to something eternal, that you will not forget and you will not be forgotten. It keeps you tethered to the flow of heaven's whispers that come again and again. And when you donate, it is not a demand, it is planting a lantern along a path you may never walk. Others will follow that road. And because of your lantern, they will not stumble. Your gift is not lost. It becomes light that continues long after you have given it. Think of it this way: your life has already been a light others could see. Every act of support, whether through your attention, your sharing, your subscription, or your giving, becomes an extension of that light. It multiplies what God is already doing through you. There is no pressure here. There is only invitation. And even if you never give a single coin, the word spoken over you remains the same. You are chosen, and darkness fears your light. So let your heart lead you. Like, share, subscribe, or give only as your spirit feels free, never bound, because the true offering heaven desires is your obedience, your faith, and your willingness to shine. Chosen one, Never forget hell feared your rising before you even knew you could stand. And now that you are rising, nothing can put out your flame. Your flame was never meant to remain hidden. What once flickered in secret is now becoming a torch. And that torch will light the way for others who feel trapped in shadows. Darkness cannot comprehend the courage it took for you to survive. Nor can it extinguish what heaven has ignited. Every scar you carry is a spark. Every tear is oil for the fire. Do not despise your journey, for it has made your light impossible to ignore. Chosen one, your rising is not for yourself alone. It is for generations yet to come, for lives you will never meet, and for stories heaven is still writing. There comes a point when hesitation becomes dangerous. You stand at that threshold now. Delay has a cost. And procrastination is not neutral, it is a thief. Every time you postpone what heaven asks of you, something unseen is lost. Opportunities close. Hearts remain unreached. And destinies wait in silence. Chosen one. The time for waiting is over. Consider the people of Israel at the edge of the promised land. They were delivered from Egypt, guided by fire and cloud. Yet, when the moment of entering came, fear seized them. They delayed. That delay cost them 40 years in the wilderness. A whole generation lost what could have been theirs, simply because they hesitated at the threshold. Delay is not safety. It is disobedience disguised as caution. Heaven has given you signs, confirmations, whispers, even dreams. Yet still you wrestle. Still, you wait for perfect timing. But there is no perfect time outside obedience. The moment God speaks is the moment heaven has aligned circumstances for your step. To delay is to step out of alignment. We are reminded through the writings of David in the Psalms, chapter 95, verse 7, today, if you hear his voice, do not harden your hearts. Notice the urgency. Today, not tomorrow. Not someday when you feel ready today. The whisper of heaven carries weight for this very moment. To harden your heart with hesitation is to risk missing the window appointed for your rising. Think of a soldier standing at the edge of battle. His commander gives the order to advance. If he waits, even a few moments, the opportunity is gone. The enemy regroups, and the cost is heavy. The command was not given for later, it was meant for now. You, too, stand under such a command. Heaven has issued the order for your next step. Let me tell you a story. There was once a young woman with a stirring in her heart to begin a work that would impact her community. For years, she felt the call, but she hesitated, doubting her capacity, waiting for perfect conditions. Others told her she was too young, too unprepared. But one day, she could wait no longer. She began with what little she had, and in time, that small beginning became a refuge for many. A light in her city. Had she delayed longer, countless lives would have remained untouched. Her story is a mirror to yours. The choice is not about comfort, it is about destiny. Delay is also a deception of the enemy. Darkness whispers, wait until you are stronger. Wait until circumstances are better. Wait until you feel worthy. But the truth is, worthiness does not come from your readiness. It comes from heaven's choosing. If God has spoken, then readiness is already written into his command. Imagine a door swinging open in front of you. It will not remain open forever. Doors are seasonal. appointed for specific times. To hesitate is to watch that door close. But to step through in faith is to discover that provision, strength, and guidance are already waiting on the other side. So I speak this to you with love and urgency. Do not delay. Every moment matters. Every act of obedience counts. Heaven has aligned this very season for your rising. Now, I invite you to seal this word with a prophetic act. Write in the comments, 444. Oh, why this number? Because in Scripture, the number 4 is often connected to seasons, directions, and foundations. The 4 winds, the 4 corners of the earth, the 4 rivers of Eden. By writing 444, you declare, my foundations are being set. My season is now. I will not delay any longer. This is not superstition. It is alignment. Just as Israel had to step when the cloud moved, so you must step when the Spirit stirs. By commenting 444, you are not pleasing me. You are echoing heaven's command back into the earth. Delay has robbed enough of your years. Do not give it another moment. Step forward, because your obedience today opens doors that hesitation will only close. Chosen one, the time is now. Understand this clearly. Hesitation is not only about you. When you delay, others are left waiting for the light you carry. Somewhere, someone is praying for an answer, and that answer is tied to your obedience. Your step forward is not simply personal, it is generational. Think of Esther. Her decision to act saved an entire nation. If she had delayed, if she had remained silent, deliverance might have come from somewhere else, but she would have missed her moment. The same is true for you, so let this truth settle in your spirit. Obedience today shapes tomorrow's victories. Your yes now is the seed of breakthrough for countless others. Delay no longer, the time is already upon you. There is something sacred about hidden seasons. The world may overlook them, but heaven values them deeply. These are the times when you feel unseen, when doors remain closed, when progress seems silent, and yet, it is in these very seasons that heaven is training you, shaping you, refining you into a vessel that can carry glory without breaking. Consider David in the fields. Before he ever faced Goliath, before he ever held the crown of Israel, he spent years with sheep. The world would have dismissed it as wasted time, but heaven saw those fields as his training ground, alone with the flock. He learned courage in the face of lions and bears. He learned faithfulness in obscurity, worship in solitude, and skill with his sling. The very things that seemed small prepared him for a moment of greatness. Your hidden seasons are the same. They may look ordinary to others, but they are extraordinary in heaven's eyes. Every lonely night, every private battle, every unseen act of obedience is forming strength in you. The silence is not punishment, it is protection. Heaven keeps you hidden until you are ready, and until the world is ready to receive what you carry. The writings of the Apostle in the book of Hebrews, chapter 12, verse 11, remind us, no discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. Later on, however, it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace for those who have been trained by it. Now, do you see the pattern? Discipline and training rarely feel comfortable, but they prepare a harvest, a future that outweighs every moment of struggle. Heaven does not waste your wilderness. Every test, every delay, every silence is shaping your foundation. Think of a sword in the making. The blacksmith places the raw metal into fire, again and again, striking it, shaping it, cooling it, and repeating the process to the metal. The fire feels destructive. The hammer feels harsh. But to the blacksmith, it is creation. Without fire, the blade is weak. Without hammering, the edge is dull. Your hidden seasons have been the forge, and you are the blade being refined. Another image, a seed beneath the soil. For weeks, maybe months, it lies unseen. No one notices it, but beneath the surface, roots are forming. Strength is building. The soil that hides the seed is the same soil that protects it until the right moment to break forth. That is your story. What looked like burial was actually planting. Even Jesus himself walked through hidden years. 30 years of silence before 3 years of public ministry. The Son of God, working in obscurity, learning obedience, being shaped in secret. Heaven does not rush. Heaven prepares. Perhaps you look at your own life and feel the sting of delay. You see others advancing, while you remain unseen. But understand, comparison blinds you to the purpose of your process. Their path is not your path. Their pace is not your pace. What heaven is building in you requires depth, and depth takes time. Think also of Joseph. Long before he stood as ruler of Egypt, he was hidden in prison, forgotten by men, yet remembered by God. His prison was not wasted. It was the place where his gift of interpreting dreams was sharpened, the place where his humility was refined, the place where heaven positioned him for sudden elevation. So it is with you. Hiddenness does not mean abandonment. Silence does not mean absence. It means heaven is still preparing the stage, and when the curtain lifts, you will be ready, because you were trained in secret to stand in strength. Chosen one, let peace settle into your spirit. Your hidden seasons have not been wasted years. They have been wombs of destiny, sacred places where heaven has prepared you away from the noise of the crowd. And when the time comes, your unveiling will carry weight, authority, and power that cannot be shaken. Think of the eagle. Long before it soars above storms, it spends weeks in the nest, wings strengthening unseen. The waiting is not wasted, it is the foundation for flight. Your hidden season has been that nest, a place of strengthening that others could not see. And like clay on the potter's wheel, you have been spun, pressed, and reshaped. The process felt endless, but every turn has brought definition. Soon, the vessel will be unveiled, carrying glory that could not be entrusted to something untested. So rest in this truth. Hiddenness is not failure. It is heaven's assurance that you are still in process. And when the time of unveiling arrives, you will not emerge fragile, but forged, ready to shine. Every tear you have shed, every sigh you have breathed in silence, every night you have lain awake with questions, none of it has been forgotten. Heaven's surveillance is not like the cold gaze of the world, which watches to judge. Heaven watches with compassion, with intention, with purpose. Angels have been dispatched not only to record, but to guard, to carry your cries into the presence of the Almighty. The thought that no one noticed your struggle is a lie. The truth is, your struggle has been documented in eternity. Each whispered prayer has been gathered like incense, each tear stored like treasure. You may have thought they evaporated into nothingness, but heaven holds them still. The writings of David in the book of Psalms, chapter 56, verse 8. Speak clearly, record my misery, list my tears on your scroll. Are they not in your record? This is no metaphor. It is reality. Heaven truly keeps account of what you endure. Not one drop of your pain has been wasted. It has all been woven into the story. Heaven is writing about your life. Consider Hagar, wandering in the desert, cast aside, alone with her child. She believed no one saw her, no one cared. Yet the angel of the Lord met her by a spring of water and declared that the Lord had heard her misery. She named that place, the God who sees me. You, too, can say the same in your loneliest deserts. You were never unseen. Imagine a watchtower high above a battlefield. Soldiers fight below. Dust recess. Confusion fills the air. But from the watchtower, every movement is clear. That is how heaven sees your life. While you feel lost in the dust of struggle, heaven's perspective remains perfect. Nothing escapes its gaze. And think of an artist sketching in a notebook. Every line matters. Every shade has meaning. The artist does not miss a single detail, because each part contributes to the whole masterpiece. That is how God regards your life. Every detail, every struggle, every victory is part of the canvas. There is comfort in knowing this. But there is also weight. If heaven records every tear, then heaven also records every moment of faith, every act of kindness, every choice to keep walking when it would have been easier to give up. None of it disappears into obscurity. All of it is remembered. All of it is honored. Sometimes you may feel invisible to those around you. Friends may overlook you. Family may misunderstand you. Even those you helped may forget you. But heaven's memory is perfect. What men forget, God remembers. What men dismiss, God esteems. Think again of Joseph. When he interpreted dreams in prison, he asked to be remembered by the cupbearer. But the cupbearer forgot. 2 years passed in silence. Yet heaven had not forgotten. At the right moment, the memory of Joseph's gift was stirred, and he was brought into the presence of Pharaoh. Men may forget you, but heaven never will. Even your smallest sacrifices matter. The quiet choices you made to forgive, the hidden generosity no one saw, the prayers whispered in secret, all have been written down. They form a record that will one day testify of your faith. And there is more. Heaven's surveillance is not passive, it is active. Angels do not simply watch, they intervene. How many accidents did you narrowly escape? How many times were you pulled back from danger you never even noticed? These are the unseen mercies of heaven, operating because you are chosen. Picture a child playing near a cliff. The child is unaware of the danger, but the parent watches carefully, ready to act at the first misstep. That is how heaven has watched over you countless times. You have been preserved by interventions you could not see. So let this truth settle deeply within you. You are never unseen. Your pain is never unnoticed. Your faith is never forgotten. Heaven has recorded it all. And in time, what was recorded in secret will be revealed in glory. Chosen one. The eyes of heaven are always upon you, not to condemn, but to cherish, to guide, to preserve. And that is why you are still here today. And remember this: what heaven has seen in secret, heaven will honor in its time. The tears you cried in the dark will become the oil that lights your future. The prayers you whispered in weakness will echo back as strength. Nothing is wasted, nothing forgotten. Every hidden moment is a building stone in the testimony you are becoming. So walk with quiet confidence, even if no human eye notices. The eyes of the Eternal do, and in that gaze, your worth is secure forever. Every crown comes with a call to obedience. Being chosen is not simply a title, it is a responsibility. Heaven does not anoint you just to carry glory for yourself. It anoints you so that your life will overflow into others. Yet the crown is not automatic. It is prepared, but it must be received through surrender. Think of Saul and David. Both were anointed as kings, but only one walked faithfully with the heart God desired. Saul sought his own way and lost the crown. David stumbled, yet he returned again and again to obedience, and his crown remained secure. The difference was not perfection but surrender. The Apostle Paul reminds us in his letter to the Corinthians, chapter 9, verse 25, everyone who competes in the games goes into strict training. They do it for a crown that will not last, but we for one that lasts forever. The image is clear. Athletes discipline themselves for trophies that fade, but you are training for an eternal crown, and that crown cannot be won through shortcuts. It is given to those who keep running, keep trusting, keep obeying, even when it costs. Perhaps you have felt the tension between what you want and what heaven asks. There are times when the easier path calls to you, promising comfort, yet in those very moments, your obedience determines whether you align with your destiny or drift away from it. Obedience is not about restriction, it is about positioning. Think of a river. A boat that stays in the flow moves swiftly, carried by the current. But if it drifts outside the stream, it stalls. In the same way, obedience keeps you in the current of heaven's will, moving you toward your purpose with power. Let me tell you a story. There was a young man who felt called to ministry but feared the sacrifice. Late, choosing a path that seemed easier. Years passed, and though he found some success, his spirit remained restless. Only when he finally surrendered did peace flood his life, and doors opened that no effort of his own could have forced. His crown was waiting all along, but obedience was the key to claim it. This same key is in your hands. The crown is real. The anointing has been spoken over you, but it cannot rest on a life that resists heaven's command. Surrender is the doorway to inheritance. Imagine a warrior kneeling before his commander. The sword is placed on his shoulder. The seal of authority is spoken over him. Only in kneeling does he rise with power. So too, your humility and obedience open the way for heaven's crown to rest on your head. Now I ask you to respond with a simple declaration. Write in the comments, I choose surrender. Why these words? Because surrender is not weakness, it is strength. It is the conscious choice to yield your will to heaven's greater will. It is saying, I will not let fear or pride rob me of my crown. By typing these 3 words, you are not only declaring it to yourself, but echoing it into the unseen realm. Heaven hears, and so does hell. Chosen one. Never forget, crowns are not earned by striving but by yielding, and your crown awaits your obedience. Understand this. Surrender does not strip you of freedom, it restores it. When you try to control every detail, you become enslaved to fear, anxiety, and the need for constant proof. But when you yield, you step into the freedom of knowing that heaven has already written your story. You no longer carry the crushing pressure of being your own savior. Think of a bird held too tightly in the hand. The grip suffocates it, and it cannot fly. But when the hand opens, the bird rises into the skies. It was always meant for. Your surrender is that opening of the hand. By letting go, you are not losing. You are releasing your spirit into the heights of destiny. Even Jesus modeled this when he prayed in Gethsemane, "Not my will, but yours be done." That surrender led to the cross, but it also led to resurrection, glory, and redemption for the world. Without surrender, there would have been no crown of victory. In the same way, your surrender becomes the gateway to what heaven has prepared. It may feel like loss at first, but it is always gain in the end. So let your heart rest in this truth. The crown does not come through striving or perfection. It comes through surrender. And each time you whisper, "I choose surrender," heaven marks it, angels record it, and your crown draws nearer. The mantle you carry is not ordinary. It is not fabric stitched by human hands, nor a symbol created by tradition. It is a mantle of fire, placed upon you by heaven itself. This fire does not consume you, it refines you. It is not given for show, but for impact, wherever you walk. This mantle carries the authority to break chains, to lift burdens, to destroy cycles that once seemed unbreakable. Think of Elijah on Mount Carmel, surrounded by opposition, mocked by false prophets. He stood with nothing but a word from heaven and the mantle upon his shoulders. When fire fell, it was not ordinary flame, it was proof of divine backing. That same fire rests on you. It may not be visible to every eye, but in the unseen realm, it burns fiercely. The Apostle Paul reminds us in his second letter to Timothy, chapter 1, verse 6, "Fan into flame the gift of God, which is in you through the laying on of my hands." This verse reminds you that the fire must be stirred, nurtured, and protected. Just as a campfire needs tending, your mantle of fire requires attention. When you feed it with faith, worship, and obedience, the flame grows, and as it grows, the darkness around you retreats. Imagine your life as a lantern carried through a night forest. The trees loom tall, shadows press in, but the lantern makes a path visible not just for you, but for anyone walking behind you. That is what your mantle does. It lights the way, even in the densest night. And here is where you must understand something important. This light is not meant to remain with you alone. It is a gift for others. When you carry it boldly, others find courage. When you let it shine, others find direction. You may never know the full number of lives touched by the flame you carry. Now let me speak from the heart. If these words have touched you, if you feel the fire stirring inside, then consider how you might help the flame spread. When you like this message, it is as though you are adding a small twig to the fire, making it burn a little brighter. When you like this message, it is as if you are striking a match in a dark valley. One spark becomes a constellation when many join together. When you share, It is like releasing a paper lantern into the night sky. You may never know where it drifts, but someone far away will look up and see hope shining above them. When you subscribe, it is like anchoring your ship to a lighthouse. Each new light that shines ensures you never lose your way through storms again. When you donate, it is planting wells in a desert. You may never drink from them yourself, but travelers you will never meet will find water and live because of what you gave. All of this is voluntary. Nothing here is forced. Just as no one can command a flame to spread, no one can command your giving, your sharing, or your support. It must come from the heart, freely, like a spark leaping from one flame to another. Let me give you another image. Picture a lighthouse on a rocky shore. Ships, far out at sea, cannot see the rocks, but they see the beam of the lighthouse. That light saves lives. Even though the keeper of the lighthouse may never meet the sailors, your support, whether by clicking, sharing, subscribing, or giving, helps keep the lighthouse burning so others do not wreck their lives on unseen rocks. Chosen one. This mantle of fire is upon you for such a time as this. You are not fragile. You are not ordinary. You are marked with flame, and the more you nurture it, the more unstoppable you become. So let your fire shine. If you feel led, like, share, subscribe, or even donate, not out of pressure, but out of joy, because in doing so, you are not only tending your own fire, but you are helping light the fires of others. And together, those flames will blaze across the darkness until the night cannot remain. And remember, the fire on your life is not meant to flicker out in isolation. Flames multiply when they touch other flames. The small act you take today, whether in response, in sharing, in sustaining, can ignite a blaze you may never fully see. Do not underestimate the ripple of a single spark. History has turned on moments smaller than this. What seems like a quiet choice in your heart may become the very reason someone else survives their darkest night. Your flame matters more than you know. There is no greater strategy of the enemy than deception. Darkness thrives not in raw power, but in illusion. It works like a shadow on the wall, appearing larger than it truly is, intimidating the heart into surrender before the battle even begins. The schemes set against you were never as strong as they seemed. They were crafted to distract, confuse, and wear down your resolve. Think of a spider weaving a web. Its threads are nearly invisible, delicate to the touch, yet deadly for anything that blunders unaware into its trap. So too has the enemy attempted to weave webs around your path, webs of fear, webs of compromise, webs of lies whispered into your mind. But the truth is this: the moment light shines, the web is exposed, fragile, and powerless to hold you. The prophet Nahum wrote in his scroll, Chapter 1, verse 7, "The Lord is good, a refuge in times of trouble. He cares for those who trust in him." End quote. This is the anchor that shatters deception. While the enemy schemes, the Lord remains constant. While lies swirl like smoke, his goodness stands as a refuge you can run into. Think back to the Garden of Eden. The serpent did not strike with force but with words. His weapon was suggestion, twisting what God had spoken. That same tactic is still alive today: whispers that question your worth, doubts that erode your faith, fears that chain your future. Yet the serpent is exposed. for truth cuts through lies like a sword. Imagine a theater performance with elaborate costumes and painted backdrops. From the audience, the scene looks convincing, almost real. But step backstage, and you see wooden planks, fabric curtains, and fragile props. The show loses its power once the illusion is revealed. This is exactly how the schemes of darkness operate. Powerful in appearance, powerless when exposed. Another picture: fog rolling across a valley. At first, it looks impenetrable, thick enough to conceal the road. But walk into it, and you realize it is only mist. The road is still there, solid beneath your feet. The enemy's tactics often feel like fog, threatening, overwhelming, but in truth, they cannot erase the ground heaven has set beneath you. Consider the story of Nehemiah rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem. Enemies rose with threats, lies, and manipulations. They tried to lure him away, to weaken his hands, to stop the work through fear. Yet Nehemiah recognized the schemes for what they were. He declared, "I am carrying on a great project and cannot go down." In refusing distraction, he dismantled the enemy's plan. In your own journey, many of the obstacles you faced were not true barriers, but illusions meant to pull you off course. Discouragement tried to slow you. Disappointment tried to silence you. Temptation tried to entangle you. Yet here you are, still standing, proof that the webs could not hold. It is vital that you learn to recognize the voice of deception. Lies often begin with a subtle suggestion: you are not enough. You are forgotten. You will fail. But pause, and you will realize these words never align with heaven's record over your life. They contradict the whisper spoken in eternity when your name was declared in heaven's council. The truth is stronger than every illusion, and truth says, you are chosen. Truth says, you are protected. Truth says, you are more than a conqueror. Think again of chains that look unbreakable. When examined closely, they are rusted, weakened, unable to hold under pressure. The enemy may rattle them loudly to terrify you, but the moment you pull with faith, they shatter. This is the reality of your battle. You are stronger than the schemes set against you because heaven's fire burns within you. Chosen one. The exposure of these schemes is not meant to frighten you, but to free you. For once deception is unmasked, it loses its hold. Darkness only thrives where it remains hidden. When light shines, it retreats. So, walk forward with eyes open. The traps may still be laid. The whispers may still come, but now you know what they are. Illusion. Smoke. Fragile webs. Nothing more. The strategies of darkness cannot outlast the endurance of light within you. And never forget this: what once terrified you will one day become your testimony. The very schemes that tried to break you will stand as proof of how unshakable you truly are. You will speak of them not with fear, but with victory, like a warrior returning from battle with scars that shine as badges. You will look back and see that every snare was powerless in the end. For the light within you was always greater than the shadows that opposed you. There are times when heaven marks moments with signs, reminders that you are not wandering aimlessly, but walking in alignment with something eternal. Prophetic numbers often appear like quiet echoes of God's voice, woven into ordinary days. They are not coincidences, they are confirmations. Think of Jacob at Bethel. He laid his head on a stone, and heaven opened before him in a dream. That place became a marker, a signpost reminding him that God had spoken over his life. In the same way, heaven has been placing reminders before you, numbers, patterns, timings that signal alignment with his purposes. The writings in the book of Joshua, chapter 1, verse 9, remind us, be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. For the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. This is not just encouragement. It is a command and a promise. Heaven marks you with courage. Even when circumstances whisper fear, numbers become part of that language. A way heaven says, I am with you. Do not turn aside. Now, imagine a traveler on a long desert road. Along the way, they find carved stones, each inscribed with a symbol of guidance. Those stones do not change the desert, but they assure the traveler they are still on the right path. So it is with prophetic numbers. They are like carved signs along your road, telling you, keep walking. You are still aligned. Perhaps you have noticed certain numbers repeating in your life on clocks, receipts, addresses, or even in unexpected places. Do not dismiss them. Often they are heaven's way of catching your attention, pulling you back into focus, reminding you that your journey is watched and guided. There was once a young believer who doubted her calling. She prayed for confirmation. Over the following week, she kept noticing the same number appearing in the most random places: bus tickets, phone screens, even in conversations. At first, she thought it was nothing, but when she opened the scriptures, the chapter and verse that answered her prayer carried that very number. From then on, her heart rested, knowing heaven had whispered to her in a language uniquely designed for her faith. Chosen one. Heaven still speaks this way. You are not left without signs. You are not left without confirmation. And in this very moment, heaven is inviting you to mark your agreement with what has been spoken. Write in the comments, 555. And why this number? Because the number 5 is often associated with grace, unearned favor, divine enablement. And when it repeats, it is multiplied grace. By declaring 555, you are saying, I walk in multiplied grace. I do not move in my own strength. I move in the strength heaven supplies. And this is not about superstition. It is about alignment. When you write 555, you are acknowledging that the road ahead may be heavy, but grace is heavier still. You are saying that your destiny is not carried by striving, but by divine empowerment. Picture a sailboat on the sea. The sails alone cannot move it, but when the wind fills them, the boat surges forward effortlessly. Grace is that wind. By declaring 555, you are lifting your sails and saying, let the wind of heaven carry me. Chosen one. Take comfort in this. You are not left to walk by yourself. Heaven has marked you. Heaven has guided you. And heaven will continue to confirm your steps. Numbers are like threads woven into the fabric of your story. They may seem small, but together they create a pattern that reveals heaven's design. This is why when certain numbers repeat, they are not accidents. They are heaven's handwriting in your daily life. Consider Israel's journey through the wilderness. Every detail, from the number of tribes to the number of stones placed in the Jordan, carried prophetic meaning. Heaven does not waste even numbers. Each one becomes a symbol, a reminder. a whisper of God's order woven into human history. So when you see patterns, pause. Do not brush them away. Ask, Lord, what are you showing me here? More often than not, these signs are invitations to step deeper into awareness of His presence. When you type 555, you are not just writing digits, you are entering into agreement with the reality of grace covering every layer of your journey. It is like stamping your passport at a heavenly border, saying, I belong here. This is my territory of grace. And once you step into that awareness, you begin to notice the flow. You see how heaven has always been, aligning circumstances for you, guiding you, confirming you. Your eyes open to the fact that your story has never been random. It has always been marked by grace multiplied. Every chosen life becomes a battlefield. The moment heaven whispered your name, darkness prepared its opposition, not because you were weak, but because you were dangerous. Spiritual war is not a sign of failure, it is confirmation of chosenness. The fact that you feel resistance is proof that you are advancing in territory the enemy does not want to surrender. From the beginning of Scripture to its end, the people of God have lived with this reality. Israel fought to claim the promised land. The prophets wrestled with kings and false voices. The early church endured persecution, imprisonment, and trials. Yet in every case, the opposition was the backdrop for greater victory. You stand in that same lineage, carrying a battle not only for yourself, but for generations. The Apostle Paul speaks in his letter to the Ephesians, chapter 6, verse 12, For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. And this reveals the truth. The battle is unseen. It is not about people, though people may become instruments. It is not about circumstances, though circumstances may be heavy. At its core, your battle is spiritual. That is why normal weapons do not work. That is why strategies of the world fall short. Victory comes only through the armor of heaven and the fire of faith. Imagine a soldier on the field. He cannot choose whether or not the war exists. The war is already raging. His only choice is whether he will stand armed or fall unprepared. In the same way, you do not choose the battle, you were born into it by virtue of being chosen. What you choose is whether to rise clothed in strength or to shrink in fear. Think also of Gideon. When the angel of the Lord called him mighty warrior, Gideon did not feel mighty. He felt small, unqualified, overwhelmed. Yet heaven named him not by his fear, but by his destiny. And when Gideon obeyed, he discovered that heaven's strength was greater than the size of the opposing army. You may feel the same, unqualified, weary, unprepared. But the truth is, heaven already calls you warrior. The war you face is not meant to destroy you, but to reveal you. Without giants, David would not have been seen. Without the Red Sea, Israel would not have known deliverance. Without the cross, there would have been no resurrection. The presence of battle is the proof that glory is near. Picture fire testing gold. The flames do not destroy, it purifies. In the same way, the battles you endure are refining your spirit, stripping away fear, deepening your trust, sharpening your vision. You are being forged in conflict to carry authority that peace alone could never give. And though the battle is fierce, you are never alone. Heaven's armies are with you, unseen, yet real. How many times did Elisha's servant tremble at the sight of enemy armies until his eyes were opened to the hills filled with horses and chariots of fire? The same is true for you. The forces aligned with you are greater than those against you. This war also reminds you that your life matters on a scale larger than yourself. The resistance you face is not simply about your comfort. It is about the lives tied to your obedience. The future generations that will walk in freedom. Because you stood firm, your victory will echo far beyond your lifetime. Think of a torchbearer in a relay race. The runner endures strain not only for their own finish, but to pass the flame onward. So too, your endurance carries weight for those who will run after you. Chosen one, the war is real, but so is your victory. You were never meant to be crushed under the battle. You were meant to rise through it, carrying scars that shine like medals, carrying authority that only comes from facing darkness and standing firm. Do not mistake the presence of war for the absence of God. The very opposite is true. The battle proves His calling on your life. And when the war feels too heavy, remember that even then, the outcome has already been written. You are more than a conqueror. And one day, when you look back, you will see that every clash, every tear, every night of warfare was never wasted. They became stepping stones, shaping a warrior who would not retreat. The war did not break you, it revealed you. For in the fire of battle, your true identity emerged. Chosen, anointed, unstoppable, and destined to carry victory into every place your feet touch. There is a scroll in heaven that bears your name. It is not written in ink that fades or paper that tears. It is engraved in eternal records that cannot be erased. Every chosen one is inscribed, not as a fleeting entry, but as part of a divine chronicle that endures beyond time. Your name is not a whisper lost in the wind. It is carved into the everlasting memory of God. Think of the ancient kings who kept books of remembrance. Whenever an act of loyalty was performed, it was recorded so that it would not be forgotten. In the same way, heaven's scroll is a record of your identity, your calling, your destiny. Nothing the enemy says, nothing your past suggests, can blot out what has been eternally written. The prophet Isaiah proclaims in chapter 49, verse 16, "See, I have engraved you on the palms of my hands. Your walls are ever before me." And this engraving is not fragile, it is permanent. It means that even when you feel overlooked, heaven still carries your name in plain sight. When doubts rise like storms, when shame tries to bury you, heaven responds with this truth: you are written here, and you cannot be erased. Oh, imagine a library with endless shelves, each scroll a life, each name a story. In that great archive of eternity, your scroll is secure. No hand can steal it. No fire can burn it. No time can decay it. When heaven looks upon it, your story is not just preserved, but celebrated. There is also an inheritance tied to your name. Just as a legal document secures rights and promises, your inscription in heaven secures promises over your life that cannot be revoked. This is why your journey carries weight. You are not walking as a stranger. You are walking as one whose name is recorded in divine covenant. Think of Esther. Her name was recorded in the Chronicles of Persia. But more importantly, her life was inscribed in heaven's story. She may have looked like an ordinary orphan to the world, yet her name carried authority that shifted the destiny of a nation. You may feel small, but your inscription means your life will echo beyond what you can see. Sometimes you wonder if your failures have disqualified you, but failure cannot rewrite heaven's scroll. Peter denied Jesus 3 times, yet his name remained engraved, and his destiny was restored. What God has written, no rebellion, no regret, no mistake can blot out. The ink of heaven is stronger than the scars of your past. Picture an artist carving into stone. Every strike of the chisel makes the engraving deeper, more permanent. That is how your identity is set in heaven. Even when life strikes hard, the blows only carve your place more deeply into God's story. The scroll of your life is not only about identity, it is about destiny. It contains the battles you will face, the victories you will win, the assignments you will fulfill. It is both a record and a prophecy. And heaven has not written failure into your scroll, it has written triumph. Remember Daniel. When judgment was passed, the books were opened. These were not empty records, they were testimonies of what had been written in eternity. One day, your scroll too will testify not of wasted years, but of grace, endurance, and victory. Chosen one, your name is not fragile, nor is it forgotten. It is secure in the eternal archive of heaven. And because it is written there, nothing on earth can undo it. Not slander, not rejection, not betrayal. Your inscription remains untouched and unshakable. So walk with this confidence. You are not trying to earn a place in heaven's records, you already have one. And from that place flows your authority, your calling, and your unshakable worth. Your name is more than letters, it is a declaration of identity. Heaven calls you not by what the world labeled you, but by what was spoken before creation. Every time your name is read in the courts of eternity, it echoes with purpose. Do not forget that engraved names carry responsibility. If you are written in heaven's scroll, then your life is meant to reflect heaven's design. You are not ordinary ink on fragile paper. You are a covenant etched in eternity. When storms come, let this truth anchor you. Storms may erase footprints in the sand, but they cannot touch engravings in stone. And your life is stone-carved in God's remembrance. Think also of the shepherd counting his flock. Each sheep is known, not by the crowd, but by name. If one wanders, the shepherd seeks it. Your engraved name assures that you will never be lost. Chosen one, let this certainty quiet your doubts. You belong. You are remembered. You are secure. Rise. Chosen one. The moment you have felt approaching is here. You are no longer hidden in the shadows, no longer weighed down by the burdens of yesterday. You are being called to stand, to lift your head, to let the strength of heaven flow through your voice and your steps. This is not the hour for retreat, it is the hour for boldness. The apostle reminds us in the book of Hebrews, chapter 12, verse 28, since we are receiving a kingdom that cannot be shaken, let us be thankful and worship God acceptably with reverence and awe. These words carry power for you now. You belong to a kingdom that cannot be shaken. The storms may rage, the earth may tremble, but what has been placed within you is eternal, immovable, unshakable. To rise boldly is to agree with this kingdom reality that nothing can uproot you from what God has established. Think of a mountain climber nearing the summit. The air is thin. Muscles tremblent. Every step feels like a battle. But when the climber finally crests the peak, the view makes every struggle worthwhile. That is what your rising is like. You have pressed through valleys, endured storms, survived rejection, and now the summit of your calling is within reach. But here is something crucial. No one rises alone. Even the climber depends on ropes, anchors, and companions along the way. In the same way, your rising becomes stronger when others walk with you. That is why your voice matters in this community. Why your presence fuels not only your destiny, but also the destiny of others walking the same road. When you like this message, it is not just a click. It is as though you are lighting a candle in a great cathedral. One flame alone is beautiful, but when joined with thousands, the cathedral glows in brilliance. Your light strengthens the light of others. When you share, it is like opening a window in a crowded room where the air has grown stale. Fresh wind rushes in, and suddenly those who were suffocating can breathe again. You never know whose lungs will be filled because you let the breeze flow through you. When you subscribe, think of it as planting roots by a flowing river. Our root digs deeper. Each drop of water nourishes. Subscribing is a choice to stay planted where life flows freely, ensuring that when new waters come, you will always drink deeply. When you donate, it is not a transaction. It is like placing a stone into the foundation of a bridge. You may never walk that bridge yourself, but countless others will cross safely because you chose to strengthen it. Your generosity becomes part of an enduring structure that carries others into safety and hope. And when you comment, it is like carving your initials into the stone pillars of a great temple. Long after, those markings remain as testimony that you stood here, that you agreed, that you left a trace of your faith for others to see. None of this is demanded. None of it is forced. Just as love cannot be commanded, support cannot be coerced. These acts are beautiful only when they flow freely from the heart. And when they do, they become eternal seeds, planted not in soil that fades, but in the fertile ground of heaven's story. Imagine for a moment a torchbearer in a darkened stadium. The flame is passed into their hands, and as they run, the crowd roars, the night sky glows, and the world sees the fire carried forward. That torch is your life. But every small act of support, your likes, your shares, your roots, your gifts, your carved marks become the oxygen that keeps it burning brighter. Chosen one, rise boldly. This is not a call to pressure, it is a call to beauty. To join your flame with others, to let your rising echo across generations, to know that what you choose freely will become part of a story much greater than yourself. So stand tall, lift your voice, and let your heart decide how you will carry this moment. For heaven has already declared, you are chosen, you are rising, and nothing can stop what has been set in motion. And remember this, rising does not mean you will never feel fear again. It means fear will no longer master you. Rising does not mean the road will be without obstacles. It means obstacles will bow to the strength of heaven within you. Your yes to rise is more than a personal choice. It is a declaration that echoes through generations. Others will rise because you first chose to stand, That is the beauty of being unshakable. Your courage becomes a legacy of light. There is a shift taking place. The currents of heaven are moving, and what was once withheld is now being released. It is a transfer not of mere possessions, but of weight, of authority, of influence. This is not about temporary riches, but about the unfolding of promises written long ago. You are stepping into a time when glory is being transferred into your hands. Not for vanity, but for stewardship. Think of Israel leaving Egypt. They walked out not only with freedom, but also with the wealth of the oppressors who had enslaved them. This was no accident. It was a divine transfer. A sign that those who had carried chains would now carry resources to build the tabernacle of God. Their deliverance came with provision, their freedom with abundance. In the same way, heaven is shifting resources, wisdom, and opportunities into your life, preparing you to build what will honor Him. The prophet Haggai declares in chapter 2, verse 7, "I will shake all nations, and what is desired will come. I will fill this house with glory." And, says the Lord Almighty, this shaking is not chaos, it is reordering. Nations tremble because glory is being redirected. Systems shake because wealth and wisdom are being loosened from corrupt hands and entrusted to those who carry heaven's mandate. And you, chosen one, are among those called to steward this transfer. Imagine a relay race. The runner holding the baton has run their leg faithfully, but the baton cannot remain with them. It must be passed forward, into new hands, for the race to continue. That is what heaven is doing now. The baton of influence, resources, and vision is being handed to you. It is not because you demanded it, but because you were prepared in hiddenness, trained through hardship, and proven faithful in silence. Think of Joseph. He endured betrayal, slavery, and prison. Yet in a single moment, the transfer occurred. Pharaoh removed his signet ring and placed it on Joseph's hand. Authority shifted instantly. What was locked away in obscurity became elevated into prominence. Joseph's story is not unique. It is a shadow of what God does for His chosen in every generation. Another image. Picture a river dammed up for years. Water building behind it. Pressure mounting. At the appointed moment, the dam gives way, and the water surges forth with unstoppable force, flooding fields and filling valleys. That is how glory transfer feels: sudden, overwhelming, unstoppable. What was stored is now released, and it rushes into your life with power you cannot contain. This transfer is not only material, it is wisdom, insight that others overlooked but heaven preserved for you. It is strategy, solutions to problems that will open doors in places thought inaccessible. It is influence, favor with people you once thought beyond your reach. And above all, it is glory, the weight of God's presence resting upon your life in ways that transform everything you touch. Do not mistake this for mere prosperity. Prosperity fades, but glory endures. This is not about storing wealth for yourself. It is about carrying what heaven entrusts you with into places of need. Like light breaking into darkness, what you receive is meant to flow outward, touching families, communities, even nations. The transfer is also generational. What your ancestors prayed for but did not see, what they longed for but could not hold, is now being placed in your hands. You are the continuation of their faith, the answer to their intercession. Their ceiling becomes your floor. Their unfinished work, your inheritance. It may feel overwhelming, but remember, you are not receiving this because you are flawless. You are receiving it because heaven delights to entrust weight to those who have walked through fire without bowing to idols. Your scars testify that you can carry what others could not. So walk forward with reverence, with humility, with awe. The transfer is real, and it is happening now. What is shifting into your hands is not only for you, but for the generations to come. Carry it with honor, and let the world see the weight of glory resting upon your life. This is why your preparation mattered. Every hidden battle, every lonely prayer, every season of waiting was shaping your capacity. Without the crushing, you could not carry the weight. Without the fire, you could not hold the mantle. What seemed like delay was actually construction. And now, when the transfer flows, you will recognize it not as coincidence, but as fulfillment. You will know it was heaven's hand, because the timing, the scale, and the beauty of it will far surpass your own strength. The journey has led you here, to the unveiling, to the crowning, to the commissioning. What began as a whisper in heaven's secret council has become a fire that burns within you. A story written across every season of your life. You are not the same person who began in obscurity, wondering why you felt so different, carrying the weight of hidden battles. You are now a torchbearer, chosen to step into the fullness of destiny. Crowns are not given lightly. They are not ornaments to decorate, but symbols of authority, responsibility, and honor. In ancient times, when a king placed a crown upon a warrior's head, it was not only recognition of victories past, it was an entrusting of victories yet to come. In the same way, the crown upon you now is not just for what you endured, but for what you will yet accomplish. The writings of James, chapter 1, verse 12, declare, "Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, because, having stood the test, that person will receive the crown of life that the Lord has promised to those who love him." This crown is not empty, it is life itself. It is the reward for endurance, the sign that your struggles were not wasted, the assurance that your perseverance has secured eternal honor. Imagine a coronation. Trumpets sound. The crowd gathers. The throne room fills with anticipation. The chosen one enters, not clothed in rags, but in garments of honor. A crown is lifted high and placed upon their head. And with that act, everything shifts. They are no longer merely an individual. They are a representative of authority, bearing weight on behalf of many. That is the spiritual reality unfolding over you. Your crown is not for vanity but for service. It is a commission to walk as a representative of heaven's kingdom on earth, to heal the broken, to lift the weary, to carry light into places that have known only darkness. It is both a gift and a charge, both an honor and a calling. Think of Peter, once fearful and denying, later standing boldly before thousands declaring the truth. The difference was not in his personality, but in the crown of authority placed upon him by the Spirit. What was timid became bold. What was fragile became unshakable. The same transformation rests on you. This commissioning is also ascending. Just as Jesus sent his disciples with authority to heal and restore, so too are you being sent, not in your own strength, But under the weight of heaven's name written upon you, you are not only chosen to be crowned, you are chosen to be released. Picture a torch relay in a darkened land. The flame has been passed to you, and now you run, carrying it into territories where light has not yet come. The crown on your head and the fire in your hand mark you as one who cannot be ignored. Darkness recognizes you, not because of who you are in yourself, but because of the glory that rests upon you. This is not an ending, but a beginning. The crowning is not the conclusion of your story, it is the launching of your commission. What heaven whispered long ago has now been shouted. What was hidden has now been revealed. What was preparing has now been released. Chosen one, step forward, clothed in this mantle, carrying this crown, walking in this commission. You are unstoppable, unshakable, radiant, and ready. The world will not remain the same because you carry the imprint of heaven wherever you go. And know this, crowns are not fragile ornaments, they are forged in fire. Every tear you cried was molten gold. Every trial was pressure that shaped the jewel. When heaven places the crown upon your head, it carries the weight of all you endured, transformed into beauty that cannot fade. This crown is also a mirror. When others see it, they will not only see your story, they will see the faithfulness of God. Your life becomes living proof that no trial is wasted, that no pain is without redemption. Think of a lighthouse standing on jagged rocks, battered by relentless waves, yet its crown, the light at its peak, never goes out. That is your destiny, to shine with unyielding brilliance, no matter how fierce the storms. So wear your crown not with pride, but with reverence. It is a reminder that you belong to a kingdom unshakable, a calling unbreakable, and a story eternal. Your commissioning has begun, and your radiance will testify forever. Chosen one, this journey has brought you to a sacred ending and a powerful beginning. What started as a whisper has grown into fire. You now carry light that cannot be hidden, a flame meant to illuminate others. When you like this message, it is like adding oil to a lamp. The flame already burns, but your oil makes it brighter, longer, stronger. When you share, it is as though you are lifting your lantern high in the night, allowing its glow to reach travelers who would otherwise stumble in darkness. When you subscribe, it is like keeping your lamp close to the source of fire. You stay connected to the stream of light, ensuring that your flame will never run out. When you comment, it is like placing your lantern alongside others at the city wall. One light becomes many, and together they form a beacon that no shadow can extinguish. And when you donate, it is planting torches along a road you may never walk. Long after you pass, others will follow that path, guided by the light you left behind. Nothing here is demanded. It is beauty, choice, and legacy. Let your light join with others freely. And as you do, know this, the darkness has already lost, because the chosen ones have chosen to shine.